Welcome everyone to another startup and automobile documentation. What we have here is a 2015 Cadillac CTS Standard. This CTS sedan is painted in black raven. It does have smart key access for all four doors. On the key fob you have the buttons for lock, unlock, remote start, trunk release, and panic. Front door panels have storage with bottle holders. It does have a premium Bose sound system. Power windows, locks, and mirrors, obviously. You also have two-person memory settings for the driver's seat. This one has a jet black interior with leather seat upholstery and high-gloss sapele wood trim. Both front seats are fully powered with four-way power lumbar support. And now that we're behind the wheel, let's go ahead and start the engine. And along with smart key access, it does have push-button ignition. The CTS was a midsize executive car sold by Cadillac that replaced the Cadillac CTS. The model was produced over the span of 3 generations from model years 2003 through 2019. It, in turn, was replaced by the Cadillac CT5 for 2020. It was at one time Cadillac's entry-level model, but that changed when the smaller ATS debuted in the early 2010s, itself being replaced by the CT4. After that, the CTS served as sort of a middle ground between the smaller and larger Cadillac models. The CTS is also notable for being the first Cadillac model to get the exciting high-performance Cadillac V-Series treatment. This 2015 we have here represents the third and final generation of the CTS, which was produced in total for model years 2014 through 2019. Unlike the second generation, which was made in sedan, coupe, and wagon body styles, the third-gen CTS was exclusively a sedan. It rides on the rear-wheel drive-based General Motors Alpha platform. For 2016, the third-gen CTS got its high-performance V variant, and it was rocking the supercharged V8 out of the C7 Corvette Z06. However, 2014 and 2015 CTS Vs were still being made as well, albeit as carryover second-generation models. This whole generational overlap with the second and third-gen CTS was quite confusing, to be honest, so I'll just explain it in a caption right here, as opposed to rambling on for another minute. Anyhow, 2016 also brought in addition to the new CTS V, a revised version of the 3.6-liter V6 engine. 2017 also brought about some minor styling updates. A minor change for the 2015 CTS sedan over the 2014 was the switch to the updated Cadillac crest logo from that year. Anyhow, trim levels for the US market 2015 model year CTS sedan were as follows: Standard, Luxury, Performance, Premium, V-Sport, and V-Sport Premium. 3 engines were on offer for the 15 CTS sedan. The base one found in this car was a 2-liter turbo inline-4 with 272 horsepower. The next step up was a naturally aspirated 3.6-liter V6 with 321 horsepower. Finally, the V-Sport models got a 3.6-liter twin-turbo V6 with 420 horsepower. As for drivetrains, you could choose between rear-wheel drive like this one or all-wheel drive. And there were 2 transmissions as well, a 6-speed automatic like this one has, or an 8-speed auto found on V6 rear-wheel drive models. In the instrument cluster, we have 4 analog gauges, which are your speedometer, tachometer, fuel gauge, and temperature gauge. And you also have a digital info display, which can be gone through via these controls on the steering wheel. So on either side, this screen right here, and then this one right here, you can configure them to have whatever you want. Your voltage meter, oil life, tire pressure, etc., digital speedometer. So if you want this to say display your odometer or fuel range, and then this side, you have all the same options for here, so you want to say tire pressure there. And then the center screen right here, it's also configurable. Go into your settings, digital speedometer, compass, settings and whatnot. But it has a 3-spoke design, heated, leather-wrapped, and multifunctional steering wheel, piano black trim. And as for controls, first on this side you have your cruise controls, your voice control and Bluetooth buttons, and your heated steering wheel toggle button. Then on this side you'll find your audio controls and your information display controls. On the back of the spokes you do have paddle shifters to manually shift the transmission. And the steering wheel is power, tilt, and telescopic. A little bit of storage, panel dim, parking brake is electronically operated, climate vent for the driver. On this side you have your exterior lighting stock, and on this side your wiper stock. Going down the center of the interior, you have your central climate vents, push button ignition. Now right here is your Q touchscreen infotainment system. Besides the touchscreen itself, the hazard switch, Glovebox opener, and parking sensors button are not actually buttons, they are just touch pads. Touch sensitive surfaces, they give you like haptic feedback when you touch it. And the same is the case for every control on this panel right here. These are all touch pads, not actually buttons. But everything in this car is still working good about 10 years later, including this volume control where you just swipe your finger over it to adjust the volume. But then below that, you have your dual zone automatic climate controls, you have your fan speed, off button, temperature for either side, auto mode, rear defrosters. Then you also have your 3-stage heated and cooled front seats. Again, these are not actually buttons. It's just like a touch-sensitive panel, but it gives you, like, again, haptic feedback if you tap it. The same is true for the bottom of the panel right here, which, as you can see, when you just tap this part right here, it moves out of place to reveal some storage, a USB-A port, and a wireless charging pad. And then to close it, just gently tap on that. Behind this electronically actuated cover, you have 2 cup holders. I guess that's kind of overkill in my opinion, gimmicky, but hey, it's still working in this car, so not big a deal. Now, I was surprised to find this does not have a backup camera, but when you put it in reverse, it does at least tilt the side view mirrors down. Below the shifter, you have your traction control toggle button and your drive mode selector. Your modes are Tour, Sport, and Snow and Ice. From there, you have a little storage area with a 12-volt power outlet and your center console with some more storage, including another 12-volt power outlet and an aux port, 2 USB-A ports, and an SD card slot. Both sun visors do have vanity mirrors with lights. Frameless auto-dimming rear view. And on the overhead console, you have your garage home link, LED overhead lighting, passenger airbag indicator, and your OnStar stuff. And there are grab handles for all 4 corners. And here is the Q infotainment system. So right now we're on the home screen. You have audio. So your sources are AM, FM, plus you have Sirius XM. As you can see. Then various media connectivity options. Bluetooth. Bring up your sound settings. Again, Bose sound system, so it sounds pretty good. Phone menu, Pretty straightforward. Various settings. OnStar Nav. Have the built-in Pandora app. Climate, so you do have some climate controls right here in the screen. You have your fan speed, temperature, different zones. If you don't want to use the physical controls, which these aren't really physical controls either, since these are just a touchpad anyway. But you get what I'm going on about. And then your OnStar, and that's pretty much the gist of the Q infotainment system. I apologize if I missed a thing or two. Just supposed to be a brief gist of it. I might miss a couple things. But now we'll go ahead and roll down the driver's window and have a look at the engine bay. All 4 windows are fully automatic. This CTS Standard rides on 17-inch 10-spoke alloy rims. Powering this CTS is the model's base engine for 2015, that being a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4. This engine has an aluminum block and head, dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, variable valve timing, and direct injection. Horsepower is rated at 272 at 5,500 RPM, and torque is rated at 295 pound-feet from 1,700 to 5,500 RPM. This engine is paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission with a manual shifting mode, and this CTS is a rear-wheel drive model. Running on recommended premium unleaded with a 19-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates are 20 mpg in the city and 30 mpg on the highway for a CTS like this one. It has a McPherson strut front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension. Stopping the car are 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes. Base curb weight is roughly 3,600 pounds. Storage on the back door panels as well. (60/40) split folding rear seats. Both front seats have map pockets in the backs. Rear passengers do get their own set of climate vents, along with a little bit of storage, along with an additional storage area and a 12-volt power outlet. And this folding center armrest, which contains 2 cup holders and even more storage. You also have a trunk pass-through. Now as for space back here, I'm about 6'1" with the driver's seat in a pretty comfortable position for myself. Headroom is just okay. My head is not hitting the roof, so I guess it's not too bad. Legroom and footroom actually isn't the greatest. Leaves a bit to be desired, especially considering the class that the CTS is in. I believe this would compete with like a BMW 5 Series, Mercedes E-Class. Of course, the Cadillac had the ATS, which would have been their entry-level sedan, competing with C-Class 3 Series. And I know the ATS has a pretty small back seat, but even the CTS, it's not uncomfortable by any stretch. But it's not what I would call a cavernously roomy back seat. Nonetheless, it's pretty comfortable back here. It is a Cadillac after all. Dual exhausts. The trunk of the CTS sedan offers 13.7 cubic feet of space. You can also fold the back seats down to allow for more storage space. And the fuel cap, as you saw earlier, is on the passenger side. Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of this 2015 Cadillac CTS. And as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.